My friends, I have jury tomorrow. Actually, I just got the confirmation email. Let's go off script, see what time I gotta show up. 8:30? These guys are smoking crack, man, because you gotta be on drugs. You think I'm showing up for this, so it's a paraphernalia charge. That's what it is. Who will show up, boy? After 4 successful dodge attempts, and they got me, boys. It's kind of wild. I've been summoned like 4 times in the last 5 years before anyone I know has been summoned once. They want my ass, man. They want it. To be fair, half of them got canceled, because of weather and COVID, but they finally got me. So by the time you're watching this video, I could very well be dispensing justice as a respected member of the highly reputable jury duty. And as a future member of said jury duty team, one must have a particular... Look, I'm going to be getting kicked out by all means necessary. I'm going to say something wild when they ask me questions. I'm going to be like, slavery was once legal, so I don't believe in laws. As a future member of the jury duty team, one must have a particular set of skills. My friends, they don't pick just anyone for jury duty. Skills such as looking at several random scant pieces of evidence, mashing them together, and coming to a seemingly inexplicable conclusion that sounds good, but in reality suggests they do in fact pick anyone for jury duty. Is Columbina the moon goddess of Nod-Krai? My friends, while we were away, some, not insignificant Nod-Krai lore was dropped in a combat event. First and foremost, for me personally, more confidence has been gained regarding the moon fragments in the sky simply being dragon technology, either the real thing or inspired, given Helka, the NPC in the events, told us this after seeing a different piece of dragon technology, the secret source automaton firepower enhanced. Quotes, I've seen relics of a similar stripe in Nod-Krai. Yeah, on the island where the Frost Moon Scions gather, but they're all as dead as can be, so this is the first time I'm seeing one move the way this one does. Fascinating. I'll record this and tell, okay there, Maisi, all about it. Aside from this, we got further confirmation Nod-Krai is in fact a part of Snezhnaya, and we also caught wind of, vaguely, who we could run into in Nod-Krai. Quotes, before I left the Fatui, had moved a lot of construction materials in. Word was that a harbinger, or harbingers, were present too. As for what they intend, I couldn't say. I've heard bad things about the situation to the north as well. The Abyss's influence has been expanding. Katia even warned me not to return via the northern paths. Now, the greatest piece of intel we got regarding Nod-Krai has to do with its belief system, because they believe in a god, but it isn't an archon or any other seeming member of the heavenly hierarchy. Quote, so, who are these Frost Moon Scions again? They're a weird bunch, I'd say. They're not like the people of Nasha Town at all. The way they live in the wilds and forests most of the time, word has it, they worship some moon deity, and you can find statues they've made all over Nod-Krai. As for the rest, I don't really know. Katia's warned me not to look into them too much. But what I have seen them do is magic. It's a shocking sight, I'll tell you that. Now, one small note about the Frost Moon Scions practicing magic is, my friends, do we know who else does magic? Witches! Are there witches in Teyvat? There are! La Hexencircle. Why do I bring them up? Well, my friends, if we remember, in The Little Witch and the Undying Flame, the witch certification trials were said to occur in the westernmost part of the magic continent. Quote, the story begins as such, in the westernmost part of the magic continent, where a young witch was undergoing her witch certification and final trial. As per convention, one only need pass this trial to qualify as a true... Hey, wouldn't it be something, because we're still missing one final member of the Hexencircle. Wouldn't it be something if that witch was the god of Nod-Krai? Now, is Nod-Krai an intern Snezhnaya in West Teyvat? Who knows? Probably, I'm assuming just because Natlan is west, and every next nation aside from Inazuma seems to just share a border with the one we were just in. Anyway, the revelation that Nod-Krai not only has a deity, but a moon one at that, and also statues dedicated to this god, tells us a couple of things. First, moon gods in Teyvat are not unfamiliar to us. We know them as the 3 sisters, Aria, Sonnet, and Canon, and I feel like I've said their story a billion times. Look, long story short, two moon sisters are dead. Killed each other at the same time. The Sealies got smoked, which would, should be around the same time the second who came arrived. One moon sister is alive, though. Quotes, ultimately, two moon wheels shattered into dust and disappeared. The last of the sisters was so overcome with sorrow that she would never leave her palace again. For simplicity's sake, let's just say for now, this remaining moon sister is the one the people of Nod-Krai worship. Whether or not she actually is feels impossible to say right now. Now, whether or not she would permanently remain in her palace is another unknown, but maybe she didn't. As once, it said a wolf was wandering about in the dark sea, whereby he came across an area that's, quote, said to be a land beyond the dominion of the deities, inhabited only by the grotesque ghostly remains of fallen gods, where the former palaces of the Seelie now stand empty. It was in the Sealie's ruins he encountered a girl who may sound awfully familiar. Quote, finally he came to an inner room where he saw a fair maiden strumming at her instrument. Her skin was ashen white, and her head was bowed down, her slender fingers gently stroking the fragile strings of the lute as she played a long-forgotten and mournful melody. The wolf sat down in front of the pale young maiden and forgot all about the pain of hunger, thirst, and loneliness for a short while, as it listened in silence to her song. A maiden, ashen white skin, Sealies, listlessly playing an instrument in runes, and a bowed head. She seems almost oblivious to what's going on. I wonder if we've ever been warned of anyone like this.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation? If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
What's more, Columbina was singing during the Lazo trailer. Now, at best, what I've done here is point out the potential connection between Columbina and the Sealies, but how did I jump to Moon Sister? Well, the Moon Sisters and Sealies were intertwined with one another. As a matter of fact, quote, at a far-flung moment in the distant past, the ancestor of the Seelie met a traveler from afar with whom they swore an oath of union, witnessed by the three sisters of the Lunar Palace. Now, taking into account Columbina has the power of the gods, and the three sisters were in fact gods, maybe there's a chance. Although, to refute this point about power, because I am a respected member of the jury duty, one simply has to look no further than the Lord of the Night Yohudavich, who was a regular Seelie by all accounts, who one would describe as having godlike power, yet, I mean, she was the Lord of the Night after all. But what if I told you it goes even deeper, my friends? As a future member of the jury duty, let me explore another avenue via the Commedia dell'arte. Columbina is an archetype that expresses love, is a maiden, and notably has a relationship with Arlecchino. If one looks at this with just the right amount of bullshit, we can connect this to an Aria. That's right, one of the names of the Moon Sisters, which is an aria is usually just a solo piece in an opera. These pieces are often meant to give the character, often a maiden, a chance to share their deeply personal and innermost thoughts, which is exactly what Columbina was doing during Signora's funeral, singing a song of sadness. And what's more, if she was the pale maiden in the dark sea, she was again singing a personal song to mourn the Sealies, just like an aria. So, is Columbina Aria of the Moon Sisters and God of Nod-Krai? As a highly respected future member of the jury duty, yes.